oftentimes you'll look back at these moments in your life and feel kind of nostalgic about them, and so don't feel like you need to rush it just because you see everyone else graduating. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is ICIE and I'm so happy to have you here, and I brewed myself a cup of tea because today we're just gonna have a good old sit down chit chat video. So I haven't filmed one of these long form or standalone videos in a while for this series just because it's been really hard to find time, and I feel like these videos really do require a little bit more prep and thought, and I just kind of wanted to film this when I had an opportunity to speak really openly to you guys. But I'm really excited to be posting more videos like this in this series, and in today I'm really excited to talk about my full college experience because I don't think I've ever talked to you guys in depth about how it was for me. I referenced it before in some of my other videos and kind of told you guys what life has been like outside of college and post-grad life, but I haven't really gone into the details of what I was like pre-YouTube, so this is going to be an exciting topic to cover. I will say that it has been really hard to film this video. I've tried to film this video multiple times, and it's just really hard to condense 3.5 years of my life that were really significant and formative to me into a single video. So for that reason, this video may be split into 2 parts. We'll just kind of have to see how it goes. But with that said, let's just jump right into this video. So a few things that I wanted to mention first before getting into the nitty-gritty is that I completely understand that not everyone's path includes college, and I think that's completely okay. I think more and more we're seeing in society that it's getting normalized that you don't have to take a traditional path in life, and college doesn't always mean you're going to be successful, but it can open a lot of doors. So I don't want this video in any way to be perceived as me trying to convince you that you need to go to college or that you need to pursue higher education. I think everyone's definition of success is different and what they want is different, so therefore there's no right way or path to that. So just wanted to throw that in here really quickly before we jump in. And a few things that I also wanted to mention is that I have some notes drafted here on some main bullet points that I want to touch on in this video, just because there is so much to cover and I feel like I could talk about this for hours and hours, but for the sake of time, I am gonna try and be as concise as possible, and just to also provide you guys my advice on what I would tell my younger self if I had the knowledge that I have now, and the things that I would do differently, you know, if I could go back in time. And so hopefully this video is valuable to you, but also entertaining, and it gives me a chance to talk to you guys and get to know me a little bit more. So let's just jump right into it. So to start off, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a recap of myself if you are new to my channel. Hi, my name is ICIE, as I've already said. I'm currently 22 years old. I work full-time at an employment law firm, and I've worked there since the beginning of the year, so about 9 months. If you're interested in my legal assistant journey and how I became a legal assistant, I'll leave links down below to those videos. And also, I currently reside in San Diego. So that's a little bit of a really brief recap as to who I am, and also I do YouTube on the side. I kind of wanted to rewind back into 2018 when I was first starting the admission process for college. So I don't remember much about my admissions process, to be honest. I feel like it's been so long since I've been in high school, at least that's the way it feels for me, that I don't remember specific details. I do remember though that there was a lot of pressure and a lot of talk about getting into a really good school, talking about getting into like an Ivy League or prestigious school. And I think for me that in a way really kind of ruins the novelty and excitement that comes with applying for colleges. I started feeling like my worth and my value was tied to the college that I was accepted into and that I would be admitted into. So that is something that I distinctly remember, and I think a lot of that had to do with the fact I was in this really competitive program with kids who were very intelligent, but also I felt like it was toxic in the sense that all they would talk about is numbers, and all they would talk about is what school they went to and the reputation of that school, and so that really clouded my judgment. But I also feel like during that time, one thing I would do differently is I would have started that process a lot sooner, and I feel like had I informed myself a little bit more about what I wanted and started visiting campuses at a younger age and started that, you know, maybe a year to a year and a half earlier, maybe I would have felt a little bit differently. So that's definitely something that I would recommend you do if you're interested in pursuing higher education. 2018, I applied for colleges, and then I got accepted into a private school in San Diego, and then I got accepted into Cal State San Marcos. And at the time, Cal State San Marcos, which is the university I ended up attending, was my safety school. It was not anything that I was planning to attend. Now looking back, I was very much influenced by my peers and what they were saying, but in reality, the idea of just being able to go to college and having the opportunity to pursue my higher education is a privilege in itself. So I feel like if I were to talk to my younger self, I definitely wish I would have understood that concept a lot sooner, is that education is education and it shouldn't matter what the reputation of the school is. So I ended up getting accepted, like I said, into both, but for financial reasons, my parents were more so looking at college from a financial standpoint because they were gonna be fully supporting me. So obviously they had a say in where I would go. And the other driving factor in me going to Cal State San Marcos was the fact that my dad was a veteran, so his disability benefits applied for me as a dependent of his, and my tuition was actually waived completely. So that's also something in retrospect that I look back on and I'm really grateful for, because I can say that I don't have any college debt, I don't have any student loans that I have to repay, and I understand that's an incredibly privileged position to be in, to not have that burden. And after I finished college, I was able to get into the workforce pretty immediately. I feel really grateful for that. It can be really exciting to get caught up into, oh, what school am I gonna go to, and all of these exciting things, but I definitely think you should think about your financial future. And I know it's really hard to think about that when you're 17 or 18. It seems so far ahead, but it is something that once you finish college, student debt is not a easy thing. It's not a thing that you should take lightly. So I would say definitely consider that when you're choosing your school. You know, it doesn't have to be like the main factor, but I think it's an important factor to consider because it will impact your life, you know, after you get out of college. Let's kind of jump into now what my actual college experience was like. And I do want to mention that I feel like my college experience is very defined by the pandemic because it actually hit in the middle of my second semester of sophomore year. I have divided my college experience into like pre-pandemic, during pandemic. That's how I see my college experience, because I was in that situation where I experienced life before COVID-19 hit, and then having to switch to online school was definitely a transition. So I'll get into my thoughts on online schooling and how that impacted me, but I'm gonna take a quick little tea break. So to be honest, freshman year was honestly my favorite year of college. This was the year that, of course, everything is new, everything is so exciting, and even though this wasn't my top choice school, I was starting to kind of feel that excitement. This year in particular as well is the year that I actually stayed with my aunt and uncle. So unlike many other students and first year students, I did live off campus, and the main reason for this again was to save money. If you don't know, on-campus living can be very, very expensive, and if you are lucky enough to have your parents pay for it, then that's amazing. But in my case, my parents felt like it didn't make sense for me because we had family that lived really close by on campus. And so I ended up just staying with them, and I actually really loved it because they were kind enough to give me my own guest bedroom, and I could decorate it and make it my own. And they also were really accommodating about allowing me access to their kitchen and like their living space. And so that was really kind of them, and I also was able to bond with my cousins at the time, and so that's one thing I don't regret about living off campus. Another thing about freshman year that stood out as well is I feel like I was the most involved on campus. I think something that I would definitely recommend if you are starting out in college is to put yourself out there, try new things. You know, it's really your opportunity to meet new people, and one thing that I look back on that is so amazing about college is that it's unlike any other situation where you're gonna be surrounded by people of a similar age, of similar interest, and so really take advantage of that, because I feel like once you get out of college, you have to make more of an effort to meet like-minded people because you're not forced into a single institution. And I've talked about this before about making friends outside of school, is that it's significantly harder, I feel like, because you don't have as many opportunities to meet people. And so that is one thing that freshman year I really tried to get out of my comfort zone and meet people and try different clubs. I think also I have here, I attended a Bible study group because my cousin was in it. I was involved in Alpha Lambda Delta, which was a honor society based on your GPA, and I ended up getting a officer position with that club later on in my college career, so I'll talk about that. But the point is that just try as many new things as you can. If you have the opportunity to do that, I think there's no other time to really take advantage of those opportunities. And my favorite memory, of course, of freshman year is that I actually met my boyfriend second semester in statistics class. If you guys want to know how we met and our full story, I think it's really cute. I'll do another video on that, but that was the year I put myself out there the most, I would say, and I was the most involved. I think just the newness and novelty of everything just made me really excited to get out of my comfort zone. So overall, freshman year, great year. So moving on to sophomore year, this is actually the year that I changed my major from sociology to political science, and then I took a political science class and I really enjoyed it. And I was like, you know, what if I do like more of a pre-law track? And that's what I ended up doing actually out of college. I'm a legal assistant now. And so I changed my major to political science, and then I decided to add a minor because I was always interested in English and writing, and I was talking to my counselor and I could add that minor without having to prolong my stay in college. So I was like, why not? And so that's what I did as well. I also landed a job as a writing tutor at the Writing Center, and I remember this was one of the first jobs that I was really actively excited for and eager to get because I really love writing. And so if I was able to do something that I already had a passion for and that I love, I was just like really excited and hoping I got that position, and I did end up getting it. And so that was really a cool experience, and it was awesome to meet again so many different people. Like I was a sophomore at the time, but I would be tutoring and helping people from all different ages and all different backgrounds. So I think that's one thing as well that I would say, if you can, you know, try to get like an on-campus job or like a volunteering position, because you do meet a lot of different people because obviously you're in the same environment. And so I think that in itself was just a really cool experience, and I actually really miss it. And I'm thinking of visiting the Writing Center at my university just to say hi to like a few familiar faces. Sophomore year, this is when the pandemic hit second semester. I think that's where I distinctly remember I was struggling a lot with my mental health and balancing a new relationship. This was the first time that I tried therapy, which I definitely recommend if that is something you are, you know, have been considering. Definitely look into it if you can, and also take advantage of the resources that you have in college. A lot of the times they are free just for you being a student and attending there. It was the first time that I had experienced that, and it was really helpful. This was also the year that I became president of ALD, so I ran for an officer position. Sophomore year, this is when the pandemic hit and everything went online, everything shut down. I remember this being a very confusing time because there was talk in the beginning of the year of the coronavirus and if things were going to be shutting down, and I honestly did not believe it. I didn't think we were ever going to go fully online. I thought this was all just like rumors and things that people were kind of trying to stir up. I just felt like, yeah, there's like no way that we're going to fully shut down. Well, I was proven wrong, obviously. And I remember when the email went out and everyone was like, is this real? Is this serious? And it was kind of this like frenzy as the whole world was just in this state of like shock and confusion. And so I ended up moving back home once the pandemic hit and everything went online, because my parents were like, why are we gonna pay for you to, you know, stay? I didn't stay very long with my parents, actually. I ended up quarantining with my boyfriend, which is, again, another story for another time. If you guys want to hear about how I moved out when I was 19, actually, that was a really interesting and tough period of my life. This year in particular, and like the latter part of my sophomore year, was really, really tough emotionally, just because there was just so many changes in my life going on, not only just in the world with the pandemic, but also in my personal life. My relationship with my parents was a bit estranged at this time. I wasn't really talking to them. So all of that really culminated into a depression, I guess you could say. Yeah, I definitely was depressed and really sad at this time, but I still managed to perform relatively well in school. I feel like that was kind of my saving grace and kind of my only way to get through this crazy time in my life, because I felt like it was the only thing that I could control, where the amount of effort I put into it was what I got out of it. So I think I really used school as a escape in a way from everything else that was going around me. Then moving on to junior year. So things were online for the most part. Junior year, I think, is when we actually moved to La Jolla, where we are right now in San Diego. So things were still online. And I was actually trying to work full time, because this is the time that I was starting to become more financially independent from my parents. So they were still supporting my academics for the most part, but in terms of like my rent and everything else besides like my school expense, I was paying for myself. And so I remember being really stressed out about trying to find a job and also trying to like focus on school and balancing both. Obviously, because everything was online, I was not involved in school, and so I was a little bit distant from that. I think when I look back about how online learning went, I think in the moment I was like, this really sucks. I would really love to be able to talk to my professors, and just having that in-person communication and interaction I really missed. But now that I look back on it, it really did allow me flexibility. I don't think I would have been able to move out had things not been online, just because there was no way that I would be able to work and also do school like full time. And so that is the main reason I was able to move out from my parents when I was 19, is because things were online. I had that flexibility of being able to get different jobs and supporting myself while also doing school. So that is one big pro, I would say, and I think a lot of people who are working students would agree with me on that, is that online school does give you a lot more flexibility and room to do other things, because you're not required to be sitting in class and, you know, sitting during lectures. The one thing that I would say though that is the con to this is that you have to be more disciplined, and you have to actually be the one to force yourself to do your homework and to watch the lectures, because there's not a professor reminding you to do those things. But, you know, it was still something that I look back on and I could see the advantage of that. And then that kind of brings us to my final semester. So I did graduate early, half a semester, just because a lot of the classes I took in high school, those credits transferred over to college, which was also really nice because I was able to graduate soon. Honestly, I just remember senior year being very chill. I took a creative writing class. I took like 3 or 4 classes, and then I had like one senior seminar class where it was more of like a discussion class, and I remember that also being really fun. And it was kind of my year where I was able to take the classes that I really wanted, and that is something as well that I recommend. You know, obviously focus on your studies, get your degree, but also take advantage of the classes that you've always wanted to take, like a pottery class or a cooking class. You know, those are things that I wish I would have done sooner. I finished in December of 2021, and that was pretty much it. I had my ceremony in May of 2022. I think I filmed that for you guys about what that experience was like, and that was my college experience in general. So it was a little cut short because of the pandemic. I feel like I didn't get to go to as many events, but I feel like in the 2 years that I was on campus and actively involved, I do feel like I tried to put myself out there as much as I could. Get into now advice that I would give to my younger self or to a younger sibling. These are the things that I would tell you, and this is in no particular order. I just kind of brain dumped advice that I would give. And the first thing that I would say is to not rush it. I feel like when you're in college, all you want to do is finish, all you want to do is like get out. And while that's really great, just know that life just gets harder the older you get for the most part. So don't feel like you have to rush from point A to point B. The other thing is I would say take advantage of all the connections and learning centers, resources that are available to you. I mentioned how I took therapy for free on campus, and so really take advantage of those, because once you get out of college, again, these are things that you're gonna have to start paying for out of pocket, and you won't have the chance to say, oh, I'm a student, and then it's like free. Definitely take advantage of that. Definitely look into it. There is just probably so many resources that you don't even know your school offers. Also, on a side note, use your student discount. This is something that I feel like I didn't take advantage as much as I should have, because a lot of the times the restaurants and places around school, or the places that are close to a university, they obviously know that there are a lot of students and they offer student discounts. So take advantage of that, and it's also a great way to save money. One thing that is really important is to just foster meaningful friendships. A lot of the times the people you meet, these are the people that you're gonna have in the rest of your life. These people can be lifelong friends if you keep up with them. You just never know who you're gonna meet. So take the opportunity to make time to have fun and meet those like special people in your life. At the same time, it's okay to lose touch with old friends. It's completely normal. In fact, I went through this with one of my really good friends at the time, who I was best friends with in high school, and we just ended up going in separate ways. And just know that's completely normal. I think it's normal that the older you get, you change as a person, so the friends that you surround yourself with are naturally going to evolve and change as your values and your beliefs change, and so just know that is completely fine. Other really random ones I have here are to ask a lot of questions during class. Don't be afraid to ask things that you're curious about, because I think in college is the perfect opportunity to expand your knowledge and to get to know more about a specific topic that you're interested in, so don't be shy about it. Talk to your professors. This dynamic I think is super different from high school, because in high school I feel like there's this superiority kind of dynamic where, you know, you're the student and there's the teacher. I feel like in college there's more of a buddy friend system, not in like a creepy way, but just where, you know, you're both adults, you're more mature, and so you can have more of a open communication style with your professor. And also these professors can be great connections for you to land a job. You just never know who you're going to meet. They can be a stepping stone into your career, I've learned. You can get so focused on finishing your degree and trying to kind of fast track everything and trying to take as many classes as you can and stacking them up, but also take time to do things that you enjoy that aren't necessarily trying to propel you forward, but are genuinely just because you're interested in it. I think that will really benefit your college experience and, you know, give you an outlet to kind of decompress from everything else going on. And finally, my last tip is to just simply enjoy it. You know, you'll look back on this time and be like, you remember when we were in college, or do you remember when we used to do this? And my boyfriend and I, we often find ourselves kind of reminiscing about our college experience, and I think it is really valuable to not try and rush things. I think it's funny how when you're younger, all you want to do is grow up. All you want to do is do all of the adult things, or at least in my case, I was so eager to rush into it, and I can just tell you that, you know, your time will come, you will graduate one way or another, no matter how long it takes, and oftentimes you'll look back at these moments in your life and feel kind of nostalgic about them, and so don't feel like you need to rush it just because you see everyone else graduating. You know, this is the time for you to really kind of like make mistakes and find yourself, as cliche as that sounds, but it is kind of this innocent time period where you don't necessarily have to worry about these outside pressures that come once you graduate. Just know that you'll never get this time back. It sounds really kind of dramatic, but it really is true. That is a wrap on this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I feel like I have been talking for hours and I could probably talk way more about it, but that was my college experience. And again, I don't think you need college to create these great memories or to achieve a certain amount of success, but I do think it offers opportunities. I do think it can really be a great kind of starting point for you to expand your knowledge and expand your inner circle. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below. Hey Google, stop. And let me know down below in the comments if there are any other videos that you would like to see a part of the series. I'd really love to know. And with that said, I will see you guys in a video very, very soon.